Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of RCN Technologies LinkedIn webinar features. And today, joining me, first, let me introduce myself. I am Danny Sartain with RCN Technologies. I am the Regional Account Manager for the West, and I am honored to be joined today by Osa Jennings of cradlepoint. And Osa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, of course. I'm also Jennings. I'm the inside account manager for supporting Texas and Oklahoma public sector at cradlepoint. And I apologize if you hear any banging in the background. I do have a shed being built in my backyard, so hopefully you all can hear me okay.
The joy of live events. Well, like I said, I am excited that I'm joined by Osa today because it's a great partnership that we have with cradlepoint and RCN as an elite partner of cradlepoint relies heavily upon cradlepoint to be able to do what we do and do it as well as we do. So thank you for joining us. And I want to just let's jump into what we're going to talk about today. The subject matter for today's webinar is school security. And, it's kind of a hot topic right now with everything that's gone on in the world. A lot of newscasts, so it seems like almost weekly. There's something about either a school shooting or some form of a hack or something of that nature. So it's really a hot topic that we want to discuss as well and see if we can bring some light as to how the schools across the country can better secure their students, their faculty, help their law enforcement to do their job even better so that we can hopefully prevent or at least minimize the damage that's done. So
Definitely a timely discussion as we head into a new school year right now, for sure. So I'm excited as well to dive into the discussion.
So the agenda. First of all, we're going to talk about what our partnership with cradlepoint looks like, because like I said, that's a key piece to what we do. And being able to have that partnership is very important to us. So then we'll get into the integrated solutions that RCN provides in partnership with cradlepoint and how those work and to help the schools secure their facilities. Then a little bit about Selfie. Selfie is really about bringing cellular coverage into the buildings. So we want to talk about that because that's really key right now when you're talking about law enforcement going into buildings and needing to be able to communicate. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll wrap it up with a Q&A and answer any questions that all our friends that joined have. How's that sound to you?
Sounds great.
All right, let's get started. So quick poll. Has anyone worked with RCN in the past, or cradlepoint for that matter? But let's talk about RCN. We'll say, how many of y'all have had some form of interaction or some form of dealings with RCN? Looks like we have a few that have,
and some that haven't.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, hopefully we can show them something today that will help them or encourage them to work with RCN and cradlepoint in the future. So we're going to move along. So talking about our partnership with cradlepoint, RCN just celebrated their 10-year anniversary just in the last couple of weeks. And pretty much all that time that we've been in business, we've worked with cradlepoint because we realized real early on what an important piece that router and the security around that router was going to be. So what any thoughts on on the partnership that you would like to add?
Yeah, of course. I certainly love and appreciate our partnership that we have together. And like you said, we've been partners for a very, very long time. And RCN is just one of those partners that really get Cradlepoint. And you have a full support team that understands Cradlepoint really well. As also, we collaborate our teams back and forth all day to help our customers, to find solutions for our customers. And what RCN has done too, you build your package solutions that we're going to talk a little bit more about today around Cradlepoint as well. So that just makes it really easy to work together. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So before we get into those package solutions that we're going to talk about, let's talk about the importance of Cradlepoint. And so what should schools keep in mind while they're deploying these solutions that RCN provides?
Yeah, so as we're talking about adding more devices, I think unfortunately we increased the attack surface, and we talked about this article this morning, Danny, that schools have year over year seen a 34% increase in cyber attacks. So we need to find ways to mitigate those risks as we add these necessary solutions to the schools' networks. So I think it's really important that a solution is really secure and cloud managed. I think that really makes a big difference as well.
Absolutely. So how do you think that Cradlepoint enables that extra layer of security?
I think Cradlepoint can do that in several different ways. With a Cradlepoint solution through RCN, customers are able to manage their devices in NetCloud Manager, our cloud portal, in a single pane of glass. We offer software-based security using zero trust principles, and using multiple layers to protect these vulnerable networks. And also, there's so many ways that we help protect these solutions. But with NetCloud Managers, we also have tons of alerts that we can set up, and they can get sent to customer cell phones. Like, could be something as simple as if somebody removes the SIM card out of our Cradlepoint router, a customer can be alerted, which that can definitely be a good indication that somebody is tampering with the solution.
Yeah, and that brings up a point. RCN offers the Network Operations Center, and that relies heavily upon NetCloud Manager that Cradlepoint provides to be able to do what they do in order to assist the schools with managing and monitoring and all those things. As while they're getting alerts, our team is getting alerts and reacting to the needs of those schools from our perspective. So great points, and I appreciate you adding that in.
I've seen the RCN knock live in action recently on one of our customers that needed some urgent help, and you guys definitely delivered. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. We do rely heavily on those guys, and we are very proud of how good they are at what they do. So let's get into the integrated solutions a little bit. The integrated solutions that RCN provides are rather unique, in my opinion, because they're not just your normal bells and whistles that schools sometimes look for. But they're real specific to security and the needs that a lot of schools are having during these trying times. So first of all, we'll talk about the vape detector and the anti-bullying solution. So there's been a lot of discussion around bullying, and you've seen it on the news where students have sadly been suffering from this act of violence, and so it's a major concern for most schools. And we've kind of combined it because vaping is also a concern, so we've combined it into a single sensor, and which is really amazing that it can detect those particles of smoke and tell the difference between smoke and vape. And then it also has a sensor in it that detects the decibel level of conversations, and within like a 92% accuracy, can tell if it's an escalated conversation that could lead to a fight or a bullying instance. You know, and the thing is, it doesn't record. There's no camera, so you can put it in those areas where you don't necessarily have eyes, bathrooms, areas that, rooms that don't have necessarily the occupancy that you would have, or a leadership or teacher or things of that nature. So it's a really interesting solution, in my opinion.
Definitely an example of when you can use technology for good. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the panic buttons. The panic buttons, to be installed under a teacher's desk, or just anywhere in the room that's an easy access for them to, in case of an instance, a fight breaks out in their classroom, or God forbid we have a shooter incident. Someone comes into the building and they need to alert faculty and police immediately. Those things are great to have, to be able to, for a quick alert. So those are a couple of the solutions that we work with. A couple of other ones that we use: door sensors, and being able to secure those exterior doors, especially. There's been events where people have just walked into the building because a door was left unlocked, or left open, cracked open. So being able to monitor those doors and tell if it's locked, if it's open, if it's if there's anything out of the ordinary that they need to check on. So door sensors and window sensors are always a great tool to help secure those facilities. And then the door barricade. The door barricade is one of my favorite because it's so simple in its design, but it works really well. So the door barricade is just designed to be able to pop it into a slot where it locks into the floor, and it can really withhold up to about 3,200 pounds of pressure or from the outside. So, you're talking about maybe a police officer with a battering ram and may have to go after that for a few minutes to be able to get through and just basically destroy the door before he can get through the actual barricade itself. So, but you look at all these tools as a whole, and it really gives you a base for being able to have a better control around the surroundings of those buildings.
I think we got a question in the chat here. Does it alert if someone has a gun, and can cradlepoint have a screening at entry points if someone walks into the facility with a gun? So the cradlepoint, of course, provides that a powerful connectivity and security to backbone the RCN solutions. Danny, have you run into that? Do you guys have anything that would be able to screen for that specifically?
No, I mean, and I think to be able to tell if it was a gun, there would have to be some kind of metal detector or some form of camera on that entry point. And we do cameras, and we can put those facing at those entry points. Really, the sensors are about knowing that somebody has entered, and that maybe they're not authorized. So you can set it up to, I believe you can set it up to where you can tell if they're authorized or not. But as far as being able to tell if they actually have a weapon on them, at this point, these devices do not.
Could definitely see that in the future with 5G and more AI coming in the marketplace as well, I would imagine. So
Absolutely.
in the near future here.
That I would not be surprised. So let's go for our second poll. Of the 4 integrated solutions that we were just looking at, which one is of the most interest to you and your school?
Anti-bullying, vaping, panic buttons. Yeah, I know. I did work on an opportunity with RCN where we had a panic button that was powered by an old copper line, and somebody tried to call for help, and it actually wasn't working. So thankfully, nothing horribly happened transpired out of that situation, but we were able to help them with on-campus panic buttons powered by LTE in this case, to make sure they had a future-proof solution that they don't have to worry about just not working.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're working up with a government agency up in Oklahoma doing panic buttons for their facility because they had the same situation where they were running off of POTS lines, or no, they were running off of handheld apps.
Wow.
So phone apps. So they weren't very consistent. And so they wanted something that was more consistent and it was secured within the location. So yeah, we're working with them to get those done. So, those POTS lines are kind of a thing that's going away. So if you're doing POTS lines, then, there's solutions out there. RCN offers a solution that gives it the ability to replace those POTS lines. So you may want to look at those. Then we got some interesting interest on the anti-bullying and vaping. That's a popular one, especially with everything that's going on, and seems to be a lot of schools. One of the primary things that schools talk about is that the anti-bullying and vaping is kind of out of control, or the bullying and vaping is out of control within their districts in a lot of cases. So it's a great solution, and we hope to get to talk to you about those in more detail. So feel free to reach out to us. Looks like we might have lost Osa for a few minutes. So hopefully she'll get back on here shortly, and we can continue to get some more interesting topics from her. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on. So Selfie. Yesterday, in fact, I was at a school district in East Texas, and I was doing a site walk for Selfie, and having a great conversation with the chief of police, ISD police over there. And as we walked through these buildings, there was a big deterioration in the coverage within these locations. And I was talking to the chief, and he made the comment that just about every school in East Texas and probably in Texas and probably across the U.S. Is probably in the same boat that they are. And because there were areas that were just dead spots, there were areas that had very low connectivity. They only were offered a coverage for their small town from one provider, really, and had very limited from anybody else. And so there was some concern. Well, we offer the Selfie Quattro, which is a device that takes the coverage that's outside the building and pulls it in from that one provider, if need be. If we pull it in, and then it shoots out cellular coverage throughout the building from all the providers that you need. So it's agnostic and is able to really help to develop or enhance that cell coverage in the building, so that law enforcement can have discussions and they can be able to communicate in and outside of that building. So looks like we have another question. Oh, well, yes. Absolutely. Let's go back. So it says, Raj, you had the question about the panic buttons connected to local police. Absolutely, they can be connected to the dispatch for the local police or for your ISD police. So they can be connected to be able to connect to whoever you need them to connect to notify in an instance. So it's great that the chief is on the call. Thanks for being here, Chief. And like I said, we were having the conversation about the Selfie yesterday, and it was a great conversation. Learned a lot about their school district and the buildings and the issues that they were having. So trying to improve that. So, and I believe the chief made the comment that it's a law now, or it's becoming law, that schools have to have that coverage in their buildings in order to be able to make sure that the students are safe, that the faculty is safe, that the law enforcement can communicate and do their job within those structures. So it was kind of eye-opening for me to see what that school district was facing. And like I said, there's probably a lot of other school districts that are running into the same issue, and would really like to try to help resolve some of that. So one other thing, and that I want to kind of touch on real quickly, is that we offer the P&K. The device over my shoulder here, I took it out yesterday to that same school district. We walked through the buildings, and really this is a ruggedized case, has a cradle point inside, has a high gain antenna, it has a battery backup that will last for about 14 to 16 hours, depending on the usage. But for deploying in emergency situations for schools, or I mean, you can use it for football, to record football games and things of that nature. So there's a lot of other activities that you can use it for. But during emergency situations, being able to pop it down, hit the button on the side. There's a blue button on the side. You can kind of see it from the picture. Quick deployment, and being able to set up a quick Wi-Fi network that, for that your first responders or anyone else can connect to, if for some reason they're in an area that doesn't have good coverage, or just need something to enhance it. So the P&K. And welcome back, Osa.
Thank you. My internet went down, but thankfully I have my E300 here to save me. So sorry about that.
Cradlepoint to the rescue. Absolutely.
Yep.
So we just got finished with the Selfie discussion, touching on the P&K, and talking about how useful it is. We have done a lot of work with Cradlepoint and the Cradlepoint team, talking about the P&K and the pop-up network kit that we offer. So any thoughts on the P&K, Osa?
I'm not sure if I missed or I'm repeating myself here, but it just has so many use cases. For schools specifically, we've been selling tons of these to school districts for emergency management, especially in the event of an emergency and a large group of students need to leave the school. Then they can have a pop-up connectivity wherever they need to take the students. Maybe it's some public building or a church or something. And then they can use this to maybe check out students, to make sure that they can access all their systems and stuff like that. Could also be sports events, or just events in general, extending the network outside of the regular campus. I mean, it's just so many use cases. You can do whatever you want. You can have a network anywhere. So.
Absolutely. And you just fed perfectly into what I had just recently said and enhanced it anymore. So great commentary. I appreciate it.
I think we've got a question. How is the signal strength with the lid closed? Is it still able to be operated, or does it have to be set down and opened?
So we love this question. We absolutely love this question because our PNK or our pop-up network kit, unlike a lot of others, can be operated with the lid closed. During our site walk yesterday at the school district, I never opened this case. I walked around with it, holding by the handle with the lid closed, and I think the chief could attest. And also, by the way, you missed it. The chief is actually on the call.
Oh, wow.
So he was able to join us, and he and I had a good time yesterday walking through these buildings and seeing how the cell coverage, even though it was greatly deteriorated or almost non-existent, once it passed through the P&K with the high gain antenna, it was enhanced, and it was back to a good signal. So it was amazing to watch and be able to show the chief and say, look at this. And I think he was impressed, and as he has indicated, and it was a good experience with the P&K. So it's a great device, works very well with or without the lid open. So,
and it's a solution that customers can buy all in one kit. There's a lot of cases in the marketplace, like antenna cases, that you have to piecemeal everything together. But RCN is definitely the number one pop-up Wi-Fi kit that I pitch to customers, because it just has everything all in a single kit, and it's also really affordable compared to the competition as well.
Absolutely. Well, so kind of getting close to the end of our time.
I think we've got one more question here. What is the size of the P&K? Can you hide it in a jacket? You have one behind you. Do you want to try hiding it under your shirt, Danny?
So, P&K, it's about 14 to 16 pounds, so it's fairly lightweight. Like I said, we walked, I think, about 6 campuses yesterday with me carrying this around, and it really wasn't. It never got overly heavy. I had to change hands a couple of times because I think I walked about almost 9,000 steps, but it was really comfortable. I mean, it's about the size of a briefcase. So power button, has a jack in case you want to plug in direct, and then the power source for charging it. Like I said, it's got a 16-hour battery life. We were using it for probably a little over 2 hours yesterday, and it lost about 10%. Wow. So it was doing its job well yesterday. So great. It's like I said, you can't hide it under your jacket. I don't think I could fit it under my shirt, but it's something that you could probably put in a corner. We use it a lot for elections and things like that, but put it over in a corner and it would be fairly unnoticeable. So
you can also asset tag these to just kind of make sure they don't look like a suspicious suitcase. I think you did that for one of our large Texas cities here recently. So
yeah, absolutely. So just to wrap things up, there's been a lot of information that's been put into the handouts during the webinar. Feel free to access those. Our information is available. If you would like to contact us, you can reach out to us. There's free resources on rcntechnologies.com/webinar. You can schedule something with myself or one of my teammates. and we will definitely reach out to Cradlepoint and get them involved to make sure that you have the best experience possible. Last question. How do we do today? I think Osa did great.
Aside from my internet dropping.
Well, except for the internet drop, slight delay. I mean, slight hiccup, but everything else, it was a great event. Again, this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I'm sure it is to Osa. Osa has children that, like we were discussing, who are in schools that need this type of security. So we appreciate you attending, and we look forward to talk to you on the next event.
Thank you so much.
Osa, I appreciate you.
Thank you.